The following lesson is linked to Learning Outcome 4, Language, and addresses the assessment standard that requires learners to develop critical language awareness. Learners should be able to explore how language positions the learner by implicit and explicit messages, values, and attitudes.
Hi, I'm Megan. In this series, we're learning about advertising. Learning about advertising is useful because it's something that you'll be assessed on in your English exams. But it's also important as a life skill because if you can analyse adverts, you'll be a more informed consumer. In the first lesson, we learned the 4 basic aims of advertising. Do you remember what these were? Well, you just have to remember the acronym ADA. It stands for Attract Attention, Keep Interest, Create Desire, and Take Action. So the aim of advertisers is to get you to not only notice their adverts, but ultimately to buy their products. In the first lesson, we focused on techniques that are used to attract attention. Do you remember these? These were eye-catching design, pictures, music, clever wording, and celebrity endorsement. Of course, there are other ways that advertisers attract attention, and advertisers have to constantly think of new ways to keep their adverts fresh and exciting. But now, assuming that an advertiser has attracted your attention, the next step is to keep it. These are the types of adverts we are going to focus on in today's lesson. We are going to be looking specifically at adverts that keep your interest. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to identify techniques used to keep a reader's interest. As I keep emphasizing, advertisers don't want you to just glance at their advert, they want you to read the whole thing so that you're more likely to be influenced by it. So how do advertisers ensure that you read the whole advertisement and keep your interest long enough to do this? Well, the first thing that advertisers think about when trying to keep up interest is to address the target audience. Do you think that you would find an advert for baby powder in a magazine called Bikers Monthly? I'm not saying you can't have a baby and be passionate about a motorbike, but the typical reader of a magazine called Bikers Monthly is not likely to be too concerned about baby powder. Have a look at the following magazines: Elle, Drive 4x4, and Time. Out of these magazines, which one is most likely to advertise nail polish? A new luxury 4x4 or a laptop computer? I'm sure you know that you're not likely to find adverts for 4x4 accessories in Elle magazine, nor are you likely to find adverts for nail polish in Drive 4x4. This is because different types of magazines are aimed at different target audiences. What is a target audience? Let's define this term. Target audience is the people at whom the advertisement is aimed. Elle magazine is aimed at young women. Because of this, it is used to advertise products and services that this group of readers is likely to use. Things such as makeup, hair products, clothes and accessories. Adverts like these are likely to catch the reader's attention because people who buy magazines like Elle are interested in products and accessories such as these. Now we're going to look at an advert that has a much more exclusive and specific target audience. Let's have a look. This is an advert for Centec. The product being offered is broadcast facilities. Now, who is likely to have a need for broadcast facilities? Television stations, radio stations, or community broadcasters. So it would be a complete waste of money for a company like Centec to advertise in the type of magazines we looked at earlier. This is because such a small fraction of readers of these magazines would be likely to buy Centec equipment. So where should a company like Centec advertise their broadcast facilities? Well, because its target audience is so small, this advert would be most successful in a trade publication or in the form of a leaflet mailed to the places that are likely to need broadcast facilities. So by placing adverts in texts that the target audience will read, advertisers increase the likelihood that their advertisements will be successful. What other techniques do they use? Let's look at the wording that adverts use. Advertisers use personal pronouns. Advertisers know that everyone wants to feel special and important. So by making out as if a product has been designed specifically for you, they know that you're more likely to buy it. This advert is for the Sunday Times website. It says, "Improve your website." Notice it contains the word "your" in huge letters. The implication of this is that you, the reader, are really going to benefit from accessing this website. But what impression would have been created if the personal pronoun "your" had been left out? Let's see. Improves website. Suddenly, the reader is not important and would think, so what? It has nothing to do with me. Have you noticed how many adverts where you're encouraged to phone in and order products begin with lines like this? Are you battling with your weight? Do you battle to concentrate? Notice how adverts like these use personal pronouns to convince you that the products have been made just for you. In this lesson, we're looking at adverts that are used to keep a reader's interest. And these are the techniques that we have learned so far. So far, we have learnt about addressing the target audience and using personal pronouns. But there are other techniques, such as using bullet form or key points. Some adverts work well with just a picture and a catchphrase, but other adverts have to convey a lot of information. People are easily put off if an advert contains a lot of text. After all, they've bought the newspaper or magazine to read the articles, not to read the ads. So what advertisers have to do is make the text as easy to read as possible. Let's look at an example of an advert that makes it easy for us to read the text. This advert is for SABC Education. As you can see, this branch of the SABC provides a whole range of services. By putting them in a list, the reader is more likely to read them than if they were all included in a long paragraph. The reader can also scan his or her eye down the list to see which of these services is applicable to his or her needs. Now, admittedly, this isn't the most fun or lively way of ensuring that a reader reads the message, but it is a better way of communicating a lot of information effectively. Let's look at another technique that advertisers use to keep a reader's interest. Well, another technique advertisers use to keep a reader's interest is to create intrigue. To create intrigue means to captivate a reader's attention or create such interest that he or she is fascinated and encouraged to read on. Let me show you an example of this. Have you heard of the book Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus? This book was an international bestseller, so many people would be familiar with it. Standard Bank has played on this familiarity by using it to create an intriguing advertisement for their Liberator product. Let's look at this intriguing advert. In this advert, the cover of the book says, "Men are from Earth, women are from Earth," and then the catchphrase is "Life just got a lot simpler." Because I am familiar with the book, this would catch my attention. But then I would also be puzzled. Why has the title of the book been changed? And how is Standard Bank able to make my life so much simpler? Now that I am intrigued, I would be encouraged to read further, and so I would end up finding out more about the Liberator product, which is exactly what the advertiser wants. So this advert would have hooked me for long enough to read the whole thing, to find out more about this Liberator product, and maybe even sign up for it. The techniques that we've looked at so far can all be used in print-based adverts, But when it comes to television adverts, there are even more techniques that can be used. After I'm intrigued, the advertiser can then use another technique to keep me interested, telling a story. The next time you watch TV, look out for adverts that tell a little story. Here's an example. Child ruins clothes. Mother uses brand X soap powder. Problem is solved. So before you know it, you're interested in the story and want to see how it is resolved. Let's learn some terminology that's used in adverts now. Do you know what the text in adverts is called? It's called copy. Copy refers to the text that is used in adverts. So it then makes sense that the person who comes up with the text that is used in adverts is called a copywriter. Copywriters help to design advertising campaigns. But before you can get to be a copywriter, you first have to pass English. So let's look at today's task, where you will get to put what we've learnt in this lesson into action. In the previous lesson, we looked at adverts that attract attention, and in this lesson, we looked at adverts that keep a reader's interest. It's now time for you to try your hand at copywriting. Design an advert for a new brand of cool drink. State why your advert will catch and keep a reader's attention. It will be impossible for you to use all of the techniques we've learnt, but try to use at least a few. Also, when you're paging through magazines, look out for ones that attract your attention and keep your interest. If you can work out how these adverts manage to do this, you will start to realize what type of things appeal to members of your target group. Please join me for our next lesson on advertising. I'll see you then. Goodbye.